Hey guys, are you a fan of Mega Man? Well, check out my book, Fight Mega Man for Everlasting Peace of Volume 1, which actually covers Mega Man 1 through 11 and Mega Man and Base. It has reviews, retrospectives, Robot Master lists, and a lot more. And if you purchase the physical version from Amazon, you get the Kindle version completely for free. It's one hell of a bargain, so don't miss out and click on the link below to buy your book. Take care, Mega friends. Incoming transmission? Really? Out all the way here in space? Oh boy! Hey, how's it going everybody? My name's Ryan and I'm the here captain of this here popcorn rocket, traveling the cosmos in order to spread the word of video games throughout the galaxy. So back when I was living on Earth, I did a show on the internet called Awesome Video Game Memories, where I talked about my memories about awesome video games. And I've traveled many corners throughout the galaxy like Mars, Jupiter, and the planet Kluptuknik. Actually, speaking of the planet Kluptuknik, they're big fans of Mega Man! Ah yes, the original Mega Man, released back in 1987 and broke the mold of gaming by letting you choose whatever level you wanted from the start and having a rock, paper, scissors battle against the bosses. I mean, back in the day, this was one of the most innovative features ever! And ever since I introduced Mega Man to the people of the planet of Kluptuknik, they want a lot more, and here are my awesome video game memories about Mega Man. Enjoy! Hey, welcome to Awesome Video Game Memories, where we talk about awesome memories about video games. I'm Ryan, and the game we're talking about today is Mega Man! So what is there to not say about Mega Man, one of the most iconic video game characters ever? And one of the first games to let you select your level from the very beginning, rather than going through the regular structure of having to go through each level individually, in order. So my first memories of this game were probably back in 1989. That would make me 8 years old. I remember my cousin, he borrowed a whole bunch of NES games from his friend, and one of those games was the first Mega Man, and I remember that really ugly box art, which is kind of iconic now. So obviously the first time I ever played Mega Man, I didn't know who to choose, so I decided to go for Elec Man for some reason, and like most kids, I could not beat the level. So kind of after that, I didn't really play Mega Man 1 again until after I played 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, so after I played Mega Man 4, I had a friend that actually had the original Mega Man, so I asked him if I could borrow it, and from there I was finally able to beat the game. Yeah, so one thing about the Mega Man games is like, they're not really easy or difficult. I mean, they're pretty much the right amount of challenge. Yeah, so I remember Mega Man 1 definitely being far, far more difficult than Mega Man 2 and 3. Yeah, so what made the first Mega Man very difficult? Well, obviously, since it was the first one, you didn't really have any energy tanks, and you didn't have a password system like in the sequel, so you kind of had to beat it all in one go. Yep, so if you were playing it on the regular NES, you had to beat it from beginning to end. Every time. Yeah, so it took me until I was in college to realize there was that pause trick with the select button. So what you can do is when you're fighting like the Yellow Devil at the first Dr. Wily stage, you can shoot him with the electric beam and then start pausing and unpausing and unpausing until you actually defeated the thing. And for many, many years, I would beat the game legitimately. Yeah, also one thing about this game was I remember was Dr. Wily's castle being really, really difficult. I mean, at the beginning where you had to avoid those bouncing machines. and then you had to use the ice to get past the fire, and then you had to fight the Yellow Devil at the end of stage 1. But stage 2 wasn't as difficult, and I didn't really find the Mega Clone that difficult to fight. And stage 3, the stage itself was not difficult, but I remember getting to the boss, which was the bubble machines, and you had a limited amount of blocks you can use, so with the Guts power, so if you ran out of that, you had to switch back to the Mega Buster, which kind of made it difficult. And what sucked is if you died during that battle, you would come back inside that, the boss's chamber, and the blocks would not be there anymore, so you had to use the Mega Buster. And I remember having to fight the Robot Masters on the way up to Dr. Wily, and you can kind of get screwed if you lose too much energy while fighting them. And I remember Dr. Wily at the end was not like super difficult like he is in like the later games. And I also remember that super awesome ending theme, which actually carries on over to Mega Man 2. You see Mega Man running home, and then he kind of turns back into rock. He looks a little different than how he does in the later games, but that's probably the only time they use that sprite. I also remember a time when this game was very difficult to find, probably around like 91 and 92, 93. You could not find this game in stores. I remember as a kid, I went to Toys R Us, I asked the guy, hey, are you selling the original Mega Man? And he said, yeah, I don't know, I think it's been discontinued. Yeah, I kind of remember in 94 to 95, Capcom did like a reprinting of the game, probably due to the very high demand of all the Mega Man fans out there. So the original Mega Man still has a bit of its problems, but still a very awesome classic game which started the whole Blue Bomber. And you could pick this game up on the Wii U or 3DS Virtual Consoles. Hey everybody, welcome to Awesome Video Game Memories, where we talk about awesome memories about video games. I'm Ryan, and the game we're going to talk about today is Mega Man 2! So, what's there to not say about Mega Man 2? The sequel that put Mega Man on the map! Although I did have the privilege of playing Mega Man 1 before Mega Man 2, Mega Man 2 was probably a lot of people's first exposure to the Blue Bomber. There are so many memorable things about this game, but if there was one memorable thing that stands out in my mind, it definitely has to be the music. Oh man, that music. Everything from the title screen, the stage select, the Robot Masters, Dr. Wily Stage 1 and 2. I mean, the music in this game is like so memorable. I play it in my car, and I play it on my phone. So I remember most of this game being pretty easy to go through because, you obviously had the normal difficulty, then you had the difficult difficulty, which was the original difficulty in the Japanese version, Rockman 2. I remember the Robot Master stages being pretty simple to get through for the most part, but there were some pretty difficult parts, but not like super difficult. I mean, you had the Spikes and Bubble Man stage, you had, the Dogs and Woodman stage, then you had the Disappearing Blocks and Heatman stage, which you can easily pass with item 2, and I have beaten those Disappearing Blocks legitimately, but I haven't done it recently. And there was the infamous laser beam traps in Quickman stage. I remember as a kid I had to use the flash stopper to beat it, but then through multiple playthroughs I was able to finally beat it without using the flash stopper. So like most people, their first time playing this game, I remember getting to Dr. Wily's stage 1 and not knowing how to get up to that ladder. I remember trying like everything. Like I tried to use item 2, I tried to use item 3, but for some reason I just did not even try item 1. So I remember taking the game to my cousin's house and he showed me that, yeah, you can use item 1 to get up there. Duh. And also I remember having problems with the stage 4 boss in Dr. Wily's castle. I ended up using up all my crash bombs to blow up the walls, and I did not have enough to destroy all the turrets inside, so I got good enough at the game to blow up the bare minimum of walls, and was able to blow up all the turrets. But there's also a trick where you can blow up all the walls, kill yourself, and then come back with all the walls gone. So I kind of beat it like that now. Also, I was very, very surprised at the end of the game where you fight Dr. Wily himself, but he's actually an alien, but then it's revealed to be a hologram, which was actually really cool. So, Mega Man 2, my personal favorite of all the NES Mega Man games, and my personal favorite of the entire Mega Man series ever. So what's there to not love about this game? You have super awesome robot masters, pretty awesome stages that are not super difficult, and most of all, the awesome music, which I still listen to this day. And you can pick this game up on the Virtual Console on both the Wii U and the 3DS. Welcome to Awesome Video Game Memories, where we talk about awesome memories about video games. I'm Ryan, and the game we're going to talk about today is Mega Man 3. Now, this game was one of my most anticipated games ever, man. Ever! So yeah, it was 1990, and I was in the 4th grade at the time, and I was so hyped for this game because, I loved Mega Man 1. I loved Mega Man 2. I beat Mega Man 2 a million times prior to this. I would play it almost every weekend from beginning to end. And then when I read in the magazines that Mega Man 3 was coming out, man, I blew my mind. It blew my mind, man. I was like, Mega Man 3! Ah! Yeah, I remember going into the store and reading the magazines Electronic Gaming Monthly, Nintendo Power, Game Players Magazine. They had all these previews of Mega Man 3, and the two pictures that stood out to me the most were Mega Man doing the slide. I was like, he can slide now? That's so cool. And then there was Rush the Robo-Dog. You get a dog in this game? Oh my god, they're going the distance with Mega Man 3. They look like they're gonna make it bigger and better and everything. Whoa, it's gonna blow Mega Man 2 away. So I remember the Christmas of 1990. My parents woke me up at 12 in the morning. But I think I was already awake before then. I don't think I even went to sleep on Christmas Eve that year. And I saw that Nintendo-shaped cartridge present. I'm like, this has to be what I think it is. This has to be what I think it is. And then when I opened that gift up and I saw Mega Man blasting Spark Man and the words Mega Man 3, I was like, oh my god, it's Mega Man 3! And I was rolling on the floor in excitement, man. I had Mega Man 3! So when I first started playing this, unlike most kids, I didn't get a magazine subscription to any gaming magazine, EGM, Nintendo Power, Game Players Magazine, Game Pro, pretty much until 1993 or 4, and I was in the 7th or 8th grade, so I didn't know which robot to start with, so I kind of started off with Needleman, and whoa, playing through his stage, I was like, wow, this is a little tougher than Mega Man 2, and then when I got to Needleman, I couldn't beat him. I was like, wow, all the robot masters are definitely much tougher than they were in Mega Man 2. So I tried Gemini Man next, and his stage was definitely pretty tough to get through. Especially the end part, where you had to jump the platforms. I didn't exactly have the Rush Marine. I didn't know the trick to get the Rush Marine at the time. That trick where you select one of the weapons, and then you press right and it's there. I couldn't beat him. I couldn't beat Hardman, so he lived up to his name. I couldn't beat anybody, actually. I remember trying to get the Shadow Man, Sparkman, and then there was one Robot Master I was able to beat after a couple of tries, and that was Top Man. But for some reason, since I didn't really know the order of how to beat them, I kind of beat Top Man first. Then I beat Sparkman. I don't know how. I think I just, collected energy tanks from the levels and died and came back again. So I remember beating Top Man first and Spark Man. Then actually I discovered, Spark Man beat Magnet Man, and then Magnet Man beat Hard Man. But then I think after Hard Man I beat Snake Man, and then I didn't actually beat Gemini Man with the snakes. I had a lot of energy tanks and I used the Mega Buster. So kind of my order of the robots with this game was kind of funky. And it's kind of weird, this game doesn't have a straight robot order, because by the time you get to Snake Man, you don't exactly have the weapon to beat him. So so I just kind of relied on just using energy tanks to beat him. So this game was definitely very mysterious in a lot of ways too. I mean, you get this brand new character called Proto Man, and I didn't know who it was at the time. It was like, oh, this dude with sunglasses, I don't even know anything about him. I just keep shooting at him and then he goes away. And then it was also weird too, like after you beat all the robots, the robot master stages kind of crumple on the stage left. And then these 4 weird robots come out called the Dock Robots. And I was like, oh, what's going on here? So then you repeat weird redesigns of the stages, and then the bosses are the Mega Man 2 robots inside the Dock Robot bodies, but you don't even know what their weaknesses is. So it's kind of strange. I did a lot of experimentation. And even to this day, I still don't know which weapon works against which. I mean, if I look at game facts on my phone, I would know, but if you ask me right off the bat, I still don't know the Robot Master order for the Dock Robots. You just kind of, do it as you go. And kind of one of my big favorite memories of the Dock Robot stages was going through Needleman stage at night. I mean, it looked really cool at night, especially on the second part of the stage where you have to use the rush jet to pass that huge pit. It was like, I'm riding, it's like Needleman at night stage for some reason. So yeah, after you beat those Dock Robots, then you finally fight Proto Man again, but then he's called Breakman. So I thought this whole game, I was like, so I'm fighting this guy named Breakman. Who's Breakman, So I remember getting to the Dr. Wily stages and beating them fairly easily, and it was kind of easy to decipher their weaknesses. Although for some reason when I fought the Yellow Devil Mark II, I used the Gemini laser instead of the hard knuckle. And kind of one of the most memorable things about this game is the last 2 stages have this really dark and scary music before you fight Dr. Wily, and it was like, whoa, this is getting kind of creepy, Yeah, so when I fought Dr. Wily, I was able to discover that you have to use the hard knuckle for the first part, and then rather than using the search snakes for the second part, because I could not hit him with those. I didn't know what to do. I was like, I'm shooting with everything. I think I'm just gonna try the topspin, and in one hit, I beat Dr. Wily with the topspin, and that was his weakness. And then in the ending, rather than Proto Man being called Breakman, he's called Proto Man. I'm like, what? But who was it? Was it Breakman or Proto Man? And I found it really cool in the ending. Mega Man's running, and then you see all the Mega Man 1 robots, and then you see this cloud that looks like Proto Man, and this emotional tune is playing, and then you see this weird eyeball go on top of a tree. I mean, a lot of people are saying, hey, that's Dr. Wily, he survived. Yeah, obviously he survived. But I still, to this day, I still wonder what that is. I mean, a lot of people say it's Dr. Wily's spaceship, but that eyeball thing, I think some people say, you should just leave it as an ambiguous thing. Maybe it's Proto Man, maybe it's someone else, but it's most likely pointed at Dr. Wily. Yeah, so during my Christmas vacation of 1990, it took me an entire week to actually beat Mega Man 3. Because, it was definitely much more difficult than Mega Man 2. Well, not that much more difficult. It's definitely easier than Mega Man 1, but a little more difficult than 2, but still a pretty solid game. It's not super easy, but not super hard. One of the best memories of this game, too, is there was a lot of mystery in this game. Like, when you read the magazines, you were like, oh, hey, like, you can slide, you have rush, but then who is this Breakman? Who are these Dock Robots? I mean, is Dr. Wily really gone back to the good side? And what happens to him at the end? I mean, this entire game was really based a lot on mysteries that kept making you think. But if there's one downfall of the game, I mean, the music is not as good as Mega Man 1 or 2. I mean, it still has great music. There are a lot of great memorable tones in Mega Man 3, but I just didn't find them on par as Mega Man 1 or 2, because Mega Man 1 and 2 had really, really memorable music. So I kind of find it weird, according to this book, the creator of Mega Man, Keiji Inafune, says if there was one game he wishes he would polish a lot more, it would have been Mega Man 3. I mean, but how could you polish up such a perfect game? I mean, this game is, to me it's perfect, but if Inafune had a different vision, which was even better, I mean, I would have liked to see that, man. Making Mega Man 3 an even more perfect game, I mean, that would blow my mind. So yeah, a lot of people consider Mega Man 3 kind of the end of the good classic Mega Man games. I mean, it does kind of feel that way sometimes, but I still love the Mega Man series as a whole, no matter how long it's gotten. So Mega Man 3 is definitely a very, very solid game, and you can find it anywhere. You can get it on the Wii U Virtual Console, you can get it on the 3DS Virtual Console, you can get the Rockman Remastered as like a single game on PS Plus, or you can get the Mega Man Anniversary Collection for the PS2 and the Xbox, or you could actually get the Mega Man Legacy Collection with new achievements, new challenges, and I would totally recommend that version. Hey everyone, welcome to Awesome Video Game Memories, where we talk about awesome memories about video games. I'm Ryan, and the game we're talking about today is Mega Man 4. So a lot of people are saying this is kind of when the downfall of Mega Man started. Around the time this game came out, I was kind of going through a bit of a rough year in my life. And the first thing I thought about this game when I first played was, this game is definitely pretty dark. I mean, after the pretty awesome intro, may I say, the music in the title screen definitely has a bit of more of a dramatic tone to it in comparison to the previous games. I mean, just listen to it. It kind of gives you the feeling like Mega Man has a bit of more of a dramatic fight now. I mean, he has a lot more going on. Yeah, and if there's one thing about this game that kind of stands out, it's definitely the music. I mean, it's good. It's still good like the previous Mega Man games, but it's definitely a lot more darker and more sinister in tone. I mean, just listen to the stage select. It's like Dr. Cossack is saying, "In Mother Russia, Mega Man's you!" Yeah, so kind of unlike the third Mega Man game where I didn't have any resources on what to do, I actually had a friend that had this game too. So he told me, the first robot you have to fight is Toadman. So I was able to get through Toadman's stage kind of easily, but then Brightman's stage was a bit tougher than Toadman's stage. I remember having a lot of trouble on the parts where the lights would go off, and then I'd always end up falling down in the pits for some reason. Yeah, so another thing about this game was the challenge, where I thought Mega Man 2 and 3 were definitely a lot easier than 1. This game definitely is a bit more on par with Mega Man 1, but this time you have energy tanks to kind of make it a bit easier, but it's definitely a very challenging game. I mean, the Mega Man series was always known for never being too easy, but never being that hard, pretty much, in my opinion, until Mega Man 7. But the games have always been moderately challenging, and Mega Man 4 was definitely a lot more challenging than Mega Man 2 and 3, if I have to say something about that. Yeah, so one thing I remember doing in this game before going to Dr. Cossack's castle was going the Skullman stage over and over again to collect 9 energy tanks, because I always found Dr. Cossack and Dr. Wily's castles definitely a lot more difficult than the average Dr. Wily castle from Mega Man 2 and 3. But now I've gotten kind of good enough at this game that I can beat Mega Man 4 from beginning to end without really going back to Skullman stage and 9 times in a row to get energy tanks. Yeah, one thing about the music in this game is one of my favorite tunes in this whole game, and probably in the whole series, was Dr. Cossack's levels 3 and 4. Just listen to it. I mean, it just sounds so dark and so, gloomy, moody, but it sounds awesome at the same time. It's like, this is kind of not the Mega Man I remember, but it's still Mega Man. I mean, it's a bit of a darker Mega Man, but, it's still Mega Man. So I remember getting to Dr. Cossack and thinking, hey, this is the end of the game, but oh, hey, wait, Dr. Wily's back, and actually he was the one pulling the strings because he kidnapped Dr. Cossack's daughter. And then, hey, there's Proto Man. Where has he been this entire game? Yeah, so I remember Dr. Wily's castle definitely being a lot more difficult than the one in Mega Man 2 and 3. So I remember getting to Dr. Wily's spaceship and having a lot of difficulty with it. I mean, I didn't know that you can detonate the drill bomb kind of before it hits the weak spot. What I did was I would either use the wire adapter to shoot upward, or I would use the rush coil, jump up, and then fire the drill bomb. And doing this would cost me a lot of energy tanks. But eventually I persevered and I beat Dr. Wily. Now I remember the final fight with Dr. Wily in this game. I had no idea what to use, but then I discovered, oh hey, you can use the Pharaoh shot since it shoots in like 8 directions. Oh well, no, not 8, but maybe 5 or 4 directions. But yeah, then I was able to beat Dr. Wily, and one of the coolest things about this game was the ending. Seeing Mega Man on that train with that cool music playing was, it felt so satisfying seeing him on that train, because this game was definitely one of the tougher ones, and it just made it feel all worth it. And especially when the credits were rolling, hearing that remix of the Mega Man 2 theme was just awesome. Yeah, so was Mega Man 4 really kind of the beginning of the downfall of the Mega Man series? I would respectfully disagree. I mean, it was definitely a good game. It's definitely a very different game. It definitely felt like it was definitely more of a darker game for some reason. And this was kind of the first game where they tried to fool you that Dr. Wily wasn't the villain, but he really was, the whole time. Yeah, so Mega Man 4, you can definitely get this game anywhere. You can get it on the Wii U Virtual Console, you can get it on the 3DS Virtual Console, you can get it on the Mega Man Anniversary Collection, and you can definitely get it in the current Mega Man Legacy Collection. Welcome to Awesome Video Game Memories, where we talk about awesome memories about video games. I'm Ryan, and today's game is Mega Man 5. Now, Mega Man 5 is, kind of where people were like, the Mega Man series is kind of getting old now. I mean, it's already on 5. I think it should have ended at 3 to make a good trilogy, but now we're kind of in the second phase of Mega Man games. So, we're here at Mega Man 5. So, what I remember about Mega Man 5 is, I felt Mega Man 4 was definitely very dark. But Mega Man 5 was definitely a lot more lighthearted, and I kind of like 5 a little better because of that, because the year before I was going through some pretty tough times, but when Mega Man 5 came out, my life was definitely a lot better around that time, so, and Mega Man 5 was the very first game I saved up my allowance to buy, because, when I was a kid, I only got like a $5 allowance per week, and, I bought it at Toys R Us for about $55. That's what I remember what the price was. And so I had to save up a lot of money to do that, but I was pretty determined to get it, so I saved up a lot of money. So the whole premise of this game is that Proto Man is the bad guy, and I knew from the start. I didn't even buy it at all. I mean, I was pretty much like, dude, maybe Dr. Wily reprogrammed Proto Man to be a bad guy. I mean, I knew he was not the bad guy at all, because he wasn't really the bad guy in 3, even though you had to fight him a couple of times, and he definitely was not the bad guy in 4. But going into this game, I'm like, dude, I mean, maybe Proto Man's being reprogrammed by Dr. Wily, I mean, even though I do like this game, I can't help but feel that some parts of it are kind of ridiculous. Like, Proto Man gets his own castle. I mean, he gets his own castle. I mean, look how silly that thing looks. I mean, with Proto Man's face in the middle. Yeah, so about the Robot Master in this game, I had a friend who had this game before me, so he was all like, you have to fight Stone Man first and go from there, go to Charge Man, Star Man, go Wave Man, blah 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 blah. And yeah, the music of this game was good. I mean, it wasn't as memorable as the past games, but the tune that I really liked the most was Gravity Man Stage. I mean, it had a kind of a cool, hip cleverness to it, and I still kind of hum it to this day. Yeah, if there's one downfall for this game, I didn't really like the Robot Master weapons that much. I mean, they just weren't really that fun to use. Although there was one time me and my cousin used the Game Genie to give us infinity weapons energy, so we spent the entire game just killing everybody with the gravity hold, and I had to admit that was kind of fun. Yeah, so I know I mocked Proto Man's Castle before, but man, Proto Man's Castle was really freaking hard. I mean, it was hard. Like, I remember that first level with all the tigers, and like, I just could not beat that thing for the longest time. But in the end, I was able to persevere through Proto Man's Castle. I got to Dr. Wily, beat Dr. Wily. Obviously, I knew Dr. Wily was pulling the strings behind Proto Man. I mean, and also one thing cool about this game was Dr. Wily's castle. It had that dome up on the top, and I thought that was cool. I don't know if you ever visit the dome, or that line goes through the dome. It probably doesn't according to the footage I'm putting. But yeah, I mean, Dr. Wily's castle had that cool dome. I mean, the dome was cool. They added a new feature in this game, this little bird called Beat. I mean, I remember the beat letter is relatively easy to get, but the hardest one that still kind of stumps me even on repeat plays was getting the beat letter in Wave Man's level. I mean, it was, you had to get past 2 fishes, and I would always miss it for some reason. I would always miss it, and it was frustrating. It's also kind of funny too. I mean, I barely ever used Beat because I didn't really like using any of the other Robot Master weapons, but I didn't realize at the end of the game that Beat made it easier to beat Dr. Wily. So for the longest time, I actually beat the game with just the Mega Buzzer, and I never used Beat until probably a couple of weeks later after beating it for the first time. Yeah, so one thing about this game, I think this game kind of started a thing in the Mega Man cartoon where Proto Man was a bad guy. I mean, he was never a bad guy, but I think at the time the cartoon was being made, Mega Man 5 was kind of the latest game produced, and so the makers of the cartoon were like, we're gonna use an evil Proto Man as a villain in the cartoon, and that's what made people think Proto Man was a villain, but he really wasn't, and that's one thing I just kind of didn't like about this game. Yeah, so like Mega Man 5, I felt it was a good game. I liked it better than 4, but it's definitely not as good as the previous 3. I mean, it's still a solid game in the Mega Man franchise. Yeah, so definitely check it out. And like I said in the previous videos, you can get this game anywhere on the Virtual Console, PSN, the Legacy Collection. You could probably find the game like under your couch. Welcome to Awesome Video Game Memories, where we talk about awesome memories about video games. I'm Ryan, and the game we're talking about today is Mega Man 6. So yeah, Mega Man 6 was kind of the end of an era, the end of the NES run of Mega Man games. Around this time, I was kind of phasing more into the Super Nintendo, so I did not really try to get this game when it came out, and plus I couldn't find it anywhere to rent for some reason. I mean, I actually went into a KB toy store, if any of you remember what that is, in 1995, and I bought the game for a little under $30 with my own allowance. Yeah, so I remember reading that manual and I was like, that's totally Dr. Wily. I mean, they didn't even try this time. I'm like, yeah, that's Dr. Wily. Mr. X is totally Dr. Wily. I mean, who would have thought that's not Dr. Wily? It's so obvious. Yeah, so this game was definitely kind of the standard Mega Man fare. I mean, it definitely wasn't as dark as 4, and it had the same lighthearted feel as 5. I mean, the music was nice and bubbly, but not super memorable. It was still good, but not really, tunes I hum all the time. And everybody kind of knows this, but the cool thing about this game is 2 American people got their Robot Masters featured in this game, which were Nightman and Windman. Yeah, and if there was one thing I really loved about this game, I thought it was probably one of the best things to come to the games in a long time, were the rush adapters, the power and the jet adapter. I mean, I remember trying these out for the first time, and yeah, I mean, I was just trying to play through entire levels just with these two adapters, just realizing I couldn't really do it, but still, I mean, these things were really freaking cool. And also, this was kind of the first game to kind of have different passageways if you wanted to get the beat letters. And I couldn't really find them all the first time I played, but I had a Nintendo Power magazine at this time, so I was able to kind of figure it out. But the weirdest thing about this game is I didn't really use beat a lot. I mean, kind of unlike Mega Man 5, where you use them to beat the game. Well, literally beat the game. Beats the game. I didn't find him that useful this time. I mean, I barely ever used him. And I remember discovering the energy balancer with Proto Man. I mean, I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, for the first time, I didn't have to change weapons to refill them, and that was really cool. Very, very convenient, which actually carried on into Mega Man X, but still has not to this day carried on to the original Mega Man, where you still have to buy the energy balancer with chips. Yeah, so I didn't really find this game super challenging. I mean, I beat it within probably the first weekend I had it, but I remember having so much fun with the rush adapters. I mean, I could just play through the entire game with them, but obviously I couldn't. And one of the most memorable things about this game was the ending. The ending was cool. I mean, you finally catch Dr. Wily at the end of this game. You see him go to jail, and then you have that cool montage of all the Robot Masters with their music playing in the credits, and I thought that was really cool. And obviously at the ending, it was obviously hinted that to be continued, there was going to be a Mega Man 7, and it did come out for the Super Nintendo. Yeah, so overall, I actually thought Mega Man 6 was a very, very solid game. I mean, it was very innovative. It tried some new things here and there. The graphics were great. I mean, maybe the music and Robot Masters weren't the most memorable. I mean, I didn't care much for Plant Man or Flame Man or Wind Man. They started kind of getting a bit generic. I mean, I thought Nightman was pretty cool. I mean, Yamato Man was kind of cool too. But other than that, yeah, the game was definitely very solid, but not super memorable. But it was definitely a very good game. Actually, it was kind of cool about this game. When I used to do a lot of classic game collecting, and I bought the cartridge for this game, and I bought Rockman 6, and that was the first time I discovered the opening music was different. I mean, just listen to both of them. Yeah, so I mean, a lot of people know this, but it was kind of where Capcom was considering not bringing this game out here in the US, and because the Super Nintendo was finally getting more dominance, but so like Nintendo themselves had to actually publish this game out, so you don't really see the Capcom logo on the original box, but Capcom's all over the game. But that was kind of weird. I mean, can you imagine a world where we did not get Mega Man 6? So yeah, that's Mega Man 6, and like I said in the previous videos, you can get this game anywhere. On the Virtual Console, PSN, the Mega Man Legacy Collection. I mean, definitely check it out. It's definitely a very solid game that tried a lot of new things, close to the end of the original NES era. So yeah, definitely check this game out, and take care. Welcome to Awesome Video Game Memories, where we talk about awesome memories about video games. I'm Ryan, and the game we're talking about today is Mega Man 7. So I remember being really excited for this game before it came out, because looking at it in the magazines, I mean, this was Mega Man on the Super Nintendo, and it looked amazing! Yeah, so was the game as good as it looked in the magazines? So I remember playing the first stage, and controlling Mega Man felt a lot clunkier than it did on the NES. I mean, for some reason, Mega Man felt a lot bigger than he should have been, and it was a lot more difficult to maneuver around the stages because he's so big now. And I remember being like, when Mega Man shoots his Mega Buster, it sounds like a pea shooter. Like, what? Yeah, so I remember the first 6 Mega Man games were moderately challenging enough where I can just kind of pick them up and play and beat them. But Mega Man 7 kind of took that difficulty and spiked it through the roof. Because man, I felt like this game was hard. Definitely very hard. I mean, like, Mega Man was kind of big, so the level design was kind of very clunky for some reason. I mean, it was very difficult to navigate Mega Man, and they kind of nerfed my 2 favorite things about Mega Man 6, the rush power and jet adapters, where now you can only, you know, to just kind of have this little burst going up once, and that was it. I mean, well, the power adapter was kind of more or less the same, and it was really cool that that the fist was homing, but still, it was still a very challenging game. And yeah, like, I remember this game was definitely very, very chock full of secrets. I remember first playing it, and I barely found anything. I mean, I didn't find all the rush letters, I didn't find the energy balancer. I mean, I actually had to grind bolts to get all the items in this game. And I spent hours upon hours doing that. Yeah, so for some reason, for the Robot Master Order in this game, I kind of started off with Freeze Man at first, but I kind of found him a bit difficult to beat, so I actually went with Burst Man. And Burst Man wasn't too difficult since I had a turbo controller, and I was able to escape most of his bubbles. Yeah, so I thought one of the most memorable parts of this game was Bass and Treble, the villains. I thought they were pretty cool foils to Mega Man and Rush, and I thought, aside from Proto Man, that they were kind of the rivals that Mega Man and Rush needed for this series. And probably one of my all-time favorite battles in any Mega Man game was when you're in Dr. Wily's castle and you have to fight Bass and Treble kind of combined together, but you also had to follow suit with them with the Rush power adapters, and that was a really cool fight in the game. And actually also one of my personal favorite things in this game was the Robot Museum, and also fighting Gutsman, kind of a more modified Gutsman with the arm in Dr. Wily's castle too. I mean, I thought that was a pretty cool bone to throw at the old school fans of the games. Yeah, so everyone remembers this about this game, and I remember how difficult the final battle with Dr. Wily was with his disappearing spaceship. You had to hit him with the spring coil, and it was really, really hard, man. I mean, I remember renting this game for the first time, and I got all the way to Dr. Wily, and my dad wanted to return the game on the Sunday night before I had to go back to school, and I was still playing it. I was like, come on, Dad, alright, Dad, just give me like an hour and I'll finally beat it. And then I persevered, and I was finally able to beat Dr. Wily. I saw the ending, then my dad says, come on, son, we gotta return the game. I was like, fine. Yeah, so did I enjoy Mega Man continuing his saga on the Super Nintendo? Kinda yes and no. I mean, I was really, really excited for this game before it came out because it looked so awesome, kind of like Mega Man now in the new generation, but actually playing the game, it felt very clunky and not as solid as the NES games. Well, don't get me wrong, it's still a very solid game, and I would recommend any Mega Man fan should play it. But it was definitely a very clunky entry in the series after getting, Mega Man X1 and 2 before. So, I held this game to the standard of Mega Man X1 and 2, and it sadly didn't deliver, but I still enjoyed playing it. I mean, I kind of play it once in a while here and there, but it's not really a game I revisit a lot. Oh, and also one thing about this game, in order to find the secrets to this game, I didn't really have the Nintendo Power issues for this game, so I kind of called the Capcom hotline, and I kind of spent my parents' money trying to figure out where the secrets were in this game, and they weren't exactly too happy about that. Yeah, so Mega Man 7, you can find this game on the Wii U Virtual Console. I don't know if it's come out for anything else, but yeah, definitely check it out. And it's kind of expensive to buy on eBay if you want the original cartridge, so definitely get it on the Wii U Virtual Console for sure. Hey everybody, welcome to Awesome Video Game Memories, where we talk about awesome memories about video games. I'm Ryan, and the game we're going to talk about today is Mega Man 8. Okay, so what can I start to say about Mega Man 8? Like, you had 1 through 6 on the NES and 7 on the Super Nintendo, and then 8 was the first on the PlayStation. And I remember going to a video rental before I even owned a PlayStation. You know, I went in, they had the games for display and you could read the manuals, and like, I was like, wow, this is kind of cool. You know, all the Robot Masters have backstories, you know, there's all this cool anime looking art, but I didn't have a PlayStation at the time. And so like a year later, I went to a friend's house and he had all these import games, so he actually let me borrow Rockman 8. And so that was my first exposure to playing Mega Man 8. And I got to hear the really cool electrical communication song at the beginning. And I was like, whoa, this is really cool. But so like, how did the game just kind of play? Now, how can I explain this? Like, you know, 1 through 6 had really solid play control, 7 felt kind of clunky, and 8 felt like I was playing an anime. I was playing the anime. I was playing an anime game. It kind of felt different. It wasn't really Mega Man anymore. It was like a Mega Man anime game I could control. Well, a lot different than Super Adventure Rockman, obviously. Yeah, one of the first things that comes to mind about this game is it's very goofy. Like, very, very goofy. I mean, but I played the Japanese version first, so anyway, I got to hear all the cool Japanese voices. And then maybe around 2 years later, I borrowed the US version from a friend, and then I heard the voice acting for that.
Hey, Zach! Why must I fight you? We are not enemies!
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Mega Man, you must go after him. We don't know who he is, and it's dangerous to leave him alone.
Woo!
It's over, buddy!
Oh my god. You had Little Boy Mega Man, and then you had Elmer Fudd, Dr. Light. I thought Bass and Dr. Wily kind of sounded okay. It's just... Oh my god, that voice acting was... Woo! Oh my god. Especially the voice acting of the Robot Masters. My favorite one was Grenade Man. When he died, he's like, that felt good! That felt good! So this game was pretty out of this world, especially the Robot Masters. You had Clown Man! Clown Man! Woo! Clown Man! Woo! Yeah, Clown Man. Then you had Tengu Man. I mean, I know we had Yamato Man in 6, but Tengu Man was also kind of weird. And then, but we also had the standard fare of Robot Masters like Freeze Man, Grenade Man, because that feels good. And then Aquaman and all the other Robot Masters. I remember really being stuck in Astro Man stage. I mean, everyone knows like this place is kind of a maze and you had to get through it. I had to resort to a guide to beat Astro Man's level. I mean, there was no level like this in the previous games, and that kind of felt a little off. Oh, don't forget Search Man. Search Man he's a searchy robot. Ooh, Search Man.
Ready?
Yeah, let's go.
And one of the most infamous things about this game is jump, jump, slide, slide, jump, jump, slide, slide, you die! And you're gonna die a lot! Because it's Mega Man 8! Yeah, the snowboarding parts were not my favorite thing in this game, even though you go through a couple of them. And most of them are pretty crappy. Oh, I mean, I remember dying so much, especially the first Dr. Wily stage. Like, if you lost to the boss at the end of that, and you lost all your lives, no, you're back at the beginning of that stage. Jump, jump, slide, slide. And one thing I really didn't like about this game, I liked in 7 where you can collect bolts, you know, to make power-ups, but in 8 you had a limited amount of bolts to get. So if you spent your bolts on one item, then you weren't going to get any more bolts unless you found more. And these bolts are a bit hard to find. Yeah, but with these bolts, I like building, you know, the Laser Mega Buster, which is kind of cool to use against, you know, the Yellow Devil and Bass at the end of Dr. Wily's castle. And I remember you can get like a shock guard where you fall into spikes, but you'll be okay for one hit and you can quickly jump back up, which really saved me a lot in that game. So let's talk about the anime cutscenes. I mean, I actually thought these were pretty cool since I played the Japanese version first, so I didn't hear the US acting till another 2 years later. And I thought these were pretty cool when I first played them. I didn't understand anything that they were saying, but and they looked a lot better than the Mega Man cartoon, you know. This was more of the super fighting robot, man. This was more the super fighting robot. Although Dr. Wily's outfit looks a bit dastardly. Like, ugh. And one of the coolest things about this game is I actually like Duo. I mean, Duo had a pretty cool purpose for the game to introduce the dark energy. You know, Dr. Wily was using it to power his robots, and you know, I actually like Duo as a character. I mean, it was cool that he was playable in the arcade game. So, in my opinion, I always felt the Mega Man games were kind of moderately difficult, but not super difficult. Like, you can just kind of turn them on and play and beat them. Until Mega Man 7, where they really spiked up the difficulty. And Mega Man 8 really spikes up the difficulty, like, boom, like that. I mean, besides the jump, jump, slide, slide, you know, there's that part in Tengu Man's level where you have to ride the bubbles. And if you mess up once there, you're dead meat. You are dead meat right there, man. And also, in this game, they decided to take out the energy tanks, which really made it difficult. So you only had like maybe 1 or 2 options to heal. Like, you know, Rush had this special thing where he dropped items for you, and then there's Flip Top. I mean, oh well, Eddie. I'm sorry, it's Eddie now. He would give you items, but if you were fighting a boss of Dr. Wily's castle and you had no, if you didn't have Rush to give you items, like you were dead meat, man. You were dead meat. But one good thing is, the battle with Dr. Wily in this game was not as hard as the one in Mega Man 7. I mean, that was a really hard battle. I mean, I found Dr. Wily in this game to be a tad easier, but he's not that much easier, if you know what I mean. And one cool thing about this game is, I have the Anniversary Collector's Edition here. You get this really cool anthology booklet which shows you all the Mega Man Robot Masters up to Mega Man 7, so I thought that was really cool. I've also played the Saturn version, which I thought was pretty cool. Like, you can fight Cutman and Woodman to get some bolts, and you know, there's an unlockable gallery from the beginning of the game, or I think when you beat the game. Although, in all honesty, the Saturn version is very hard to find, so I would probably recommend just having the PlayStation version. So, Mega Man 8, I don't think it's a terrible game. It's not a terrible game by any means, but I mean, it's a decent game. I can't really call it a good game. I mean, there was a lot of mistakes they made with this game, especially with the level design, the really amateurish voice acting. Oh my god. I mean, I'd recommend playing the Japanese version of this if you can, even if you don't know any Japanese. But overall, I mean, it's a worthy addition to the collection, but it's a bit more out of this world. It feels kind of like a spin-off in some sorts. I mean, Mega Man is like squash and stretch goofy anime type man in this now. Yeah, so Mega Man 8, you can actually get this on the Mega Man Anniversary Collection for the GameCube or the PS2 or the Xbox, but though I will warn you, the sound is a bit off. Like in the PS2 version, the explosions are really BAM like that. But there is a really good emulated version on the PlayStation Network, which I also own, and I really recommend having that. Welcome to Awesome Video Game Memories, where we talk about awesome memories about video games. I'm Ryan, and the game we're going to talk about today is Mega Man 9! Yeah, so this was one of the biggest surprises from Capcom, because I remember around 2008, it was probably 12 years since Mega Man 8, and I was thinking, you know, Mega Man's dead already, there's going to be no more Mega Mans, but then out of the blue, Capcom announces Mega Man 9, and even the more surprising thing, it's going to go completely old school. I mean, we're not going to have like 3D Mega Man on the Wii or the Xbox 360. No, it's going to go completely old school like the NES games. I was like, whoa! So I remember playing this at Comic-Con 2008 at the Capcom booth. back then you can only choose like 2 levels, which was Concrete Man or Plug Man. So I went through both, and I had a really hard time going through Plug Man stage because of the disappearing blocks. So I was like, screw that, I'm gonna go to Concrete Man stage. And Concrete Man's level was definitely a lot easier, but it wasn't that easy. So I remember when this game came out in 2008, I had to start a freelance job the next day, so I had to drive about an hour from my place to go to it. So I wanted to play Mega Man 9 as much as possible before I went to work the next day. So that entire day, I waited for the Nintendo eShop to update. Like it updated around noon, I think, when it was released, and then I downloaded it and I played it, and right before midnight, before I went to bed, I beat the game. So I always talk about, the games are always moderately difficult, and they spiked the difficulty up in 7 and 8, but 9, they definitely not only spiked it up, they like impaled the difficulty like that. This game is hard, very hard. And what makes it kind of worse is, Mega Man's been kind of nerfed. Like, he doesn't have the Mega Buster anymore, and he doesn't have the Slide anymore. Unless you get the DLC and get Proto Man. And I think the reason why they made Mega Man nerfed, because he hadn't done this in a while. So we kind of had to play him the same way we did in Mega Man 1 and 2. So I was like, oh yeah, so that's what kind of makes this game a little harder to maneuver. Because Mega Man is kind of back to the way he was. So I remember, I played this game on the first day it came out, and there were like no strategy guides or anything on GameFAQs for it whatsoever, so I kind of had to guess who I could beat first, and I couldn't beat anybody until I hit Galaxy Man. And his stage was pretty hard to get through already, but he had kind of the easiest pattern, and I was able to beat Galaxy Man kind of easily. So the rest of the robots were still pretty difficult. I eventually discovered the order, but the problem is that the stages are really hard. I mean, there's you can't just run and gun through the stages like the previous Mega Man games. There's like a point in each of the stages you have to stop and kill something, and killing that thing is really hard. Like, that plant pedal in Hornet Man stage, and there's those really hard swings in Jewel Man stage, and then you have to kill those elephants with the holes in Concrete Man stage, and then the disappearing blocks in frickin' Plug Man stage. But one cool thing, they made the musical old school, but I kind of feel like it's not really. It doesn't sound super old school music for some reason. It sounds like modern music made into 8-bit. But if I had to choose one theme that sounded like it belonged in the old school era, like Mega Man 1 through 6, would be Plug Man's theme. I think Plug Man's theme has those kind of beats that really makes it sound like it's old school. Just listen to it. So anyways, the story of this game was kind of silly. Like, Dr. Light was framed for making evil robot masters, and Dr. Wily says, I can help you stop them. And like, who the hell is going to believe Dr. Wily after 8 attempts to take over the world? Well, 9 if you count Mega Man and Bass. Well, so of course after you beat all the robot masters, you get to see their memories, and oh yeah, obviously Dr. Wily's behind everything. Oh, I would have never guessed. And so Dr. Wily's castle in this game was definitely one of the harder ones. I remember particularly that stage where you're up, where you're being lifted by the gravity, and then you can easily hit the spikes. I mean, it reminded me a lot of Tengu Man stage from Mega Man 8. And the fight with the Yellow Devil was really difficult, in my opinion. Well, more like the 2 Yellow Devils in different colors, but if you learn the pattern, I mean, it's a little easier. But at least with this game is now you can collect bolts the old school fashioned way, like in Mega Man 7. So I would find this part in Plug Man stage where I would just use like the Jewel Shield and get a million bolts from all the enemies. I would just stand there like all day. And now the fight with Dr. Wily was a bit strange. You fight him in like this dinosaur thing, and you have to bounce these eggs back at him, and I didn't know what to do. I shot every weapon I could at the thing, and I was like, hey, I did a little damage there, but oh wait, I have to shoot these eggs back, so I might as well just use the Mega Buster, which I can't really charge. So eventually, I beat Dr. Wily. Then one of the coolest things was the ending. Like, it shows montages of the previous Mega Man games, including the Mega Man's in the color that you use to beat Dr. Wily in those games. But, and most people might not know, Mega Man and Bass is featured in that in the bottom right, I think. But yeah, I thought that was a really cool nod to all the previous games. And also, most cool about this game was it had additional DLC, like you had the Endless mode, which I never really beat. You had the Extra mode where you can fight that evil cop robot, which I found pretty cool. But the Endless mode was kind of fun, and there's also like the Challenge mode where you get to fight all the bosses, you can get achievements. I didn't really care much for the achievements in this game because it was really hard, and then you can also play as Proto Man, which he has the slide and he has the Mega Buster, well, the Proto Buster, which I don't get, but it was pretty cool that you get to play Proto Man now for the first time in full. So yeah, Mega Man 9 was kind of a cool surprise that we never expected. And I really like this game, I really do. I mean, it's difficult. I'll say that, it's very difficult, but it's a really cool nod to the previous 6 games, and I think that's what makes it very charming. And I remember also the press kit that was going on sale for like a lot of money on eBay, but I was able to go to Comic-Con and I bought it for $60 because apparently I think the people at the Capcom booth wanted to make a little money off of it. They probably had some unsold boxes because this thing was really expensive, and so I bought it, and it was okay. It came with a box and a cartridge. There was no manual. Inside the cartridge was a CD, and it had all these press assets, which I still have with me to this day. I know you had the trailer, you had some artwork, nothing super important. But then I ended up selling it for over $90, which is pretty cool. So yeah, Mega Man 9, you can get this game on the Wii Virtual Console, you can get it on Xbox Live or PlayStation Network. I have it both for the Wii Virtual Console and the PlayStation Network, since my original Wii died, so I have to rebuy the game again on PlayStation Network. Welcome to Awesome Video Game Memories, where we talk about awesome memories about video games. I'm Ryan, and the game we're going to talk about today is Mega Man 10. So I can't believe at the time of this recording, this might be the last Mega Man game we're going to see for a while, until Capcom remembers they own Mega Man. Yeah, so I remember having a bit of a lukewarm reception to this game. I wasn't super excited for it, I wasn't super dreading it. It just kind of appeared like a year and a half later after Mega Man 9. And I was like, I'm just gonna get it anyways. It's Mega Man, I gotta buy everything Mega Man, it's Mega Man. And I remember playing it, the plot was a bit, so is this Roboenza virus kind of the precursor to the Maverick virus? Is this gonna link to the Mega Man X series? Probably not. And I was like, you know what, I bet Dr. Wily made that virus. And what do you know? He did! So I remember this game when I first downloaded it on the Wii, and I remember, I was like, there's a baseball robot master named Strike Man, and there's a guy named Sheep Man. Sheep Man! I still can't wrap my head around Sheep Man. Yeah, so I remember this game not being as hard as Mega Man 9. I mean, there were some parts where you had to fight a mini-boss, but the level design was relatively easier to get through than Mega Man 9. There weren't really a lot of super hard parts with a million spikes or traps or whatever. You were able to get through them pretty easily. And so I remember the first Robot Master I chose in this game was Pump Man, and I found him kind of easy to beat. But then I went on to GameFAQs and someone suggested an order that I had to go for Sheep Man first, and Sheep Man wasn't really that difficult. So in this game I didn't really have a very difficult time beating the Robot Masters like in Mega Man 9, where I couldn't beat anybody at first. And one thing I kind of didn't really like about this game, the music wasn't that memorable. I mean, like I said in the Mega Man 9 Awesome Video Game Memories, it felt like it was modern day gaming music, kind of just made 8-bit, and not a lot of the tunes really were throwbacks to the old stuff. And this game definitely sounded a lot like it was modern day gaming music put in 8-bit, and not really a lot of memorable tunes that I can hum all over and over again like Mega Man 1, 2, and 3. But I remember, although there was one cool song, I remember when you first enter Dr. Wily's castle in the rain, and then after that the music pumps up when you enter the castle, and then you fight the first boss of that stage, which is kind of a Robot Master replica. thingamabobber. It's like the Doc Robots, but it imitates a Robot Master. And it was kind of cool seeing the 8-bit versions of like the Mega Man 7 and 8 robots, but I didn't know what the weaknesses were, so I just kind of fired whatever. I had like 9 energy tanks anyways from collecting all the bolts. So yeah, actually I think the coolest thing about this game was when you get to the last Dr. Wily stage, but then you have another Dr. Wily stage, and it goes all the way up into space. And I think the game was kind of self-aware. It was already kind of making fun of the fact that, hey, Dr. Wily's castle is now, let's put it into space and make it go long and long. And the good news is, the final battle with Dr. Wily was actually pretty easy. I didn't really have a hard time with it. I didn't really know what the weakness was, so I just used the Mega Buster. But I had 9 energy tanks anyways, so it wasn't too bad. And the ending was, obviously Dr. Wily gets sick. It's funny. And then he leaves behind all the Robo-Insecures. Okay, that's fine. And that was kind of it. And also, I did get the DLC, I beat it with Proto Man, which he had the Mega Buster in the slide, and I also beat it with Bass, who had the awesome machine gun, and which made it a lot easier to beat, in my opinion. And also, you can put the game on easy mode, where they put platforms over the spikes, so it's not as hard, but I don't really think you need it. It's not that difficult of a game. And so honestly, there's not much more I could say about Mega Man 10. It's just kind of a standard Mega Man game. It's not out of this world. It just kind of feels like, hey, it's the sequel to Mega Man 9. They didn't really take a lot of risks with it, to be honest. I thought the Robo-Enza thing was a little weak. I was hoping it would kind of link to the Maverick virus in the X series, but it was just kind of there, and it was obvious Dr. Wily was behind it. Everybody gets sick, but there's a cure, and that was it, really. Yeah, so you can get Mega Man 10 for the Wii Virtual Console, on PSN or Xbox 360, and just get it for whatever system you can get it on. It's a pretty standard game. Yeah, so will there be any more Mega Man games after this, aside from Smash Brothers on the Wii U? We don't know. Capcom's kind of in a weird position right now. They haven't done anything with Mega Man since Inafune left. So I don't know, this might be the last Mega Man game we'll see for a while, but maybe out of the blue they'll make Mega Man 11 and they'll make it like 3D with the Oculus Rift. You get the B Mega Man for real. Maybe they'll do that, or do it completely old school again, or maybe make it look like 7, or I don't know what they're gonna do. We'll see if there's gonna be a Mega Man 11. Welcome to Awesome Video Game Memories, where we talk about awesome memories about video games. I'm Ryan, and the game we're gonna talk about today is Mega Man 11! My buddy, you're back! Mega Man is back in form, people! So I remember back at the end of my Mega Man 10 review, I was like, I don't really know if we're ever gonna get a Mega Man 11. Yeah, so will there be any more Mega Man games after this, aside from Smash Brothers on the Wii U? We don't know. Then let's fast forward to 2017. Capcom releases a 30th anniversary Mega Man video going through all the Mega Man games throughout the years. So Mega Man goes through that final boss gate. I was like, oh my god, this is it. This might be what I'm thinking. It's a brand new looking Mega Man game. Mega Man 11! So once pre-orders finally went live, I pre-ordered it on the PlayStation Network, because if you order on the PlayStation Network, you can play pretty much at midnight when the game releases, which would be 9 o'clock my time in Pacific Standard Time. Although I admit I also decided to double dip on the Switch, because I do have the Mega Man Legacy Collection 1 and 2 for the Nintendo Switch, and now I have all 11 Mega Man games on the go! Oh my god! When I first got to play Mega Man 11 at E3 2018, I waited about half an hour in line. I took a picture with Blockman, Mega Man, and I got to ride on Rush for the first time ever, man. And I got to play through Blockman stage, and I was not able to beat it because, it was my first time playing Mega Man 11, and I didn't know the layout or the traps, and I was like, holy shit, I can't wait to play more. So once the demo came out on the Nintendo Switch, I would play the demo a lot before work, and I was actually able to get all the way to Blockman without dying. So in the days leading up to Mega Man 11's release, I decided to marathon all 10 of the original Mega Man games on my Mixer channel, and I got through most of them without a hitch, except Mega Man 7 and 8, which are my least favorite games in the series, and that took quite a while. So when the game finally came out, I did a stream on the Mixer channel, and I completed the entire game in one night within 2 hours. And let me tell you, man, those were 2 of the best Mega hours I ever spent, because Mega Man 11 is Mega Man truly back in form, people. So Mega Man 11 starts with a dream sequence, and we see a young Dr. Light and Dr. Wily back in their university days. And I do remember back in the 1994 Mega Man cartoon, there was an episode that did show young Dr. Light and young Dr. Wily, but they looked more like young adults rather than university students. So Dr. Wily's all hamming about, my double gear system is going to rule the world! But then the university is like, no, we're more in favor of Dr. Light's artificial intelligence, where robots can kind of think for themselves. Somewhat of a precursor for Mega Man X. But then Dr. Wily wakes up in his skull pajamas! Aw, isn't that adorable? Where can I get a pair? So Dr. Wily wakes up and decides, I'm gonna bring back my double gear system, my revolutionary double gear system, which is better than anything Dr. Light's ever made, and I shall rule the world! For the 11th time, give or take. So things are going pretty well. Back at Dr. Light's lab, we see Blockman. Also, Blockman is actually one of Dr. Light's creations, so Dr. Light was pretty much responsible for all the robots from Mega Man 1, 9, and 11. Okay, that's pretty cool. So Blockman needs a bit of assistance from Dr. Light, but then Dr. Wily busts into the lab, spaceship and all! So, how did he fit his spaceship in there again like he did in Mega Man 9? I guess he just kind of broke through the door again. So Dr. Wily demonstrates the power of his new speed gear and steals all the Robot Masters, making them evil, and Mega Man, with a strong sense of justice, that's right buddy, gets geared up to stop them. So the big new mechanic of Mega Man 11 are the speed and the power gear, which were originally made by Dr. Wily, but Dr. Light has his own version of it. So the speed gear lets you slow down time, and it becomes really helpful for certain parts of the game, you know, when there's a whole bunch of crushing walls, and there's a whole bunch of fire chasing after you in Torchman stage. Yep, it's very useful. And then the power gear adds a lot more to Mega Man's Mega Buster and actually lets you power up the Robot Master weapons. And let me tell you, man, the Robot Master weapons have been the best they've ever been in any Mega Man game. Like, holy crap, like look at this. I mean, it's like I'm playing a precursor to Mega Man X in a way. And the bolt collecting system is back, where you can collect bolts to make items, and it's run by your buddy Otto, who refers to you as Mega Buddy. That's right, Mega Buddy. So obviously I started off with Blockman because, you know, that was the demo level, and then I decided I'm gonna take a guess and I'm gonna go for Impact Man. Yes, Impact Man makes impact. But sadly I didn't really guess any of the Robot Master's weaknesses, but I still had a good time and I was able to beat most of them on the first try. And if you were frustrated with the level designs from Mega Man 7, 8, 9, and 10 like I was, the level design in Mega Man 11 is probably the most forgiving since Mega Man 6 actually. And even though all the stages have their own unique gimmicks, the level design is definitely a lot easier to get through than a lot of the previous Mega Man games, and it's quite a relief after, you know, having to go through 4 Mega Man games with really difficult level design. And I do gotta admit, a lot of the stage gimmicks are actually quite fun. I mean, the one in Impact Man stage, you can actually see the lines before the things kind of hit you. And then there's Bounce Man stage, where you're kind of bouncing all over the place. Although I did find it a little irritating to kind of control yourself while bouncing, but it is kind of fun going down on those trampoline things with the ropes and launching yourself all the way up. And then there's Torchman stage, where fire comes after you, but you can use the speed gear to kind of slow it down so you can kind of move a bit more forward. And then there's Acid Man stage, where Mega Man actually goes in corrosive acid, and then there's those robots that can shoot stuff into the acid and then turn it different colors, so you might see Mega Man melt into, you know, Melting Man. And yes, the fights with the Robot Masters definitely reminds me a lot of Mega Man 8, where they would spew some hilarious dialogue, although it's not as cheesy as Mega Man 8. And luckily I didn't really find a lot of the Robot Masters too difficult, even though I couldn't really guess their weakness weapons at first. But however, the Robot Masters also have their own speed and power gears, and they can definitely turn the tide of the fight. Like Fuseman definitely goes a bit crazy when he starts using his speed gear. And speaking of the graphical style, I'm actually glad they didn't go back to the 8-bit look like they did in Mega Man 9 and 10, because while it was really awesome for 9, where in the late 2000s, retro was kind of in, but I kind of felt it worn out its welcome in Mega Man 10, and I actually do like the new Mega Man 11 modern and colorful style. I mean, it looks fantastic. So once you beat all 8 of the Robot Masters, you go to Dr. Wily's Gear Castle, because everything in this game has to be based around gears. And one thing about the enemy design in this game is there's a lot of drone-looking enemies, so I do admit Mega Man 11 is getting around with the times. So the first boss of Dr. Wily's Gear Castle is the Yellow Devil Mark III. So I was a bit confused that they called this one the Mark III, because didn't we fight another version in Mega Man 8? Oh wait, he was green colored, so he was the Green Devil. So we fought Mega Man 1's Yellow Devil, Mega Man 3's Yellow Devil. Now we have Mega Man 11's Yellow Devil. And I do gotta admit, this is probably the hardest incarnation of the Yellow Devil yet, because this was actually what I considered the first hard boss in the game. Because not only does the Yellow Devil have his standard, reform and form into blocks, he can split into a whole bunch of little devils, and you have to avoid a distinct pattern they all have, and it's a bit tough, and I had to use a lot of energy tanks to beat this. So once you get to the second part of Dr. Wily's Gear Castle, you fight a boss that's kind of reminiscent of 2 really big bosses from Mega Man 4 and 5, which isn't super difficult, but you gotta be careful in the last part because it can kind of aim for you wherever you are. And one thing about the third station of Dr. Wily's Gear Fortress is it looks like it's going to be a long stage, but it's pretty short once you get to the Robot Master refights. So once you go to the final station of Dr. Wily's Gear Fortress, you fight Dr. Wily's Wily Machine 11, which looks like another drone. Yep, even Dr. Wily's getting along with the times. And then once you beat that, which isn't super hard, you fight Gear Wily, and luckily, unlike the previous Mega Man games, are actually not since Mega Man 7, this is a pretty easy version of Wily Machine 11 to beat, and if you use the speed gear, it definitely makes it a lot easier to hit him. And then after that, you beat Dr. Wily, and you avert his plans for world domination for the 11th time, right, Mega Man? So then Dr. Light casually walks up. Well, how the hell did Dr. Light get past all of Dr. Wily's traps? Oh, it's a Mega Man game. And says, "Look, Wily, because Mega Man was able to use the gears in an awesome way, he's the result of your creations. So if we team up again and you cast aside your evil ways, but I think you gotta serve another prison sentence, we can team up again and make awesome robots." But then Dr. Wily's like, "I'm not fucking having it. Fuck you, Mega Man. Fuck you, Dr. Light. I'm beaming away, and that's it. Fuck you both." So Mega Man and Dr. Light leave on the Rust Jet as the credits roll, thus ending Mega Man 11. But it's not over yet. The Robot Masters come back, repaired and better than ever. And hey, there's our buddy Otto, using the speed and power gear to lift up all our broken Robot Masters. Although Bounce Man looks a bit heavy, Otto, you might want to put him down. So once you finish the game, you unlock the gallery mode, you unlock the challenges mode, which is really fun when you try it, and then you also unlock more items in the item shop, and you can choose whatever level you want on the stage like, and even any of the Dr. Wily Gear Station levels. Cool. Although I am a bit disappointed that Bass and Treble and Proto Man did not make any appearances, but I bet they will appear in some DLC or something. Alright, so Mega Man 11, was it really worth the wait? I would have to say a definite yes. So ever since Keiji Inafune left Capcom, I was always very weary of Mega Man's future because, they canceled Mega Man Legends 3 and, Mega Man Universe, and he made that other game, which we won't talk about other than how the mighty have fallen. But luckily, the current team at Capcom learned from Keiji Inafune's mistakes. They made the game definitely a lot more accessible to new players, and it's definitely a lot more relaxing for people who are kind of burned out on Mega Man 7, 8, and 9, and 10. Although I do admit people who love the challenge of Mega Man 7 through 10 might be a little disappointed that they took it a bit easy in this game. And I do admit the game does not really advance the story as much like Mega Man 3 and 7 did, because you know Mega Man 3 that showed Proto Man and Mega Man 7 introduced bass and treble. It kind of feels like, you know, a Mega Man anime episode or something. And I do gotta admit the voice acting is pretty good, although I do kind of miss the cheesy voice acting of Mega Man 8, but the new voices do a pretty good job. And I know a lot of people might have a problem with older sounding Mega Man, but I kind of prefer it, to be honest. Because he's not Mega Boy, he's Mega Man. So I definitely gotta say, Mega Man 11 is probably one of the best Mega Man games next to 2 and 3, and is definitely very accessible to newcomers, and veterans of the series are definitely gonna love it and feel a lot more refreshed. And it definitely feels like a true evolution of the series without adding a whole bunch of extra stuff in it to make it, you know, modern. And with all that said, I highly, highly, highly recommend Mega Man 11 and pick it up right now on the PS4, Nintendo Switch, and the Xbox One. And I do recommend getting it on the Nintendo Switch so you can play it on the go. Little buddy, you're back and forth, baby, yeah! Alright, now let's bust some Mega butts. Welcome to Awesome Video Game Memories, where we talk about awesome memories about video games. I'm Ryan, and the game we're going to talk about today is Mega Man Soccer! So what do you get when you combine Mega Man and the world's most popular sport, soccer, which I barely ever played as a kid? You get Mega Man Soccer! Yeah. Now, I remember seeing previews of this game in GamePro magazine around 1994 when Mega Man X came out, and I was like, Mega Man Soccer? They're making a soccer game on Mega Man? I think Mega Man would be better as like a football game because, you know, I'm still playing Tecmo Super Bowl. Although they did do Rock Board, which was a Mega Man board game, which I used to own too. So I do admit, even as a kid in 1994, I was a bit skeptical about this game. I was like, maybe I should give it a rental, but my cousin just went out and bought it and said, hey Ryan, I got Mega Man Soccer, come over and play it. I'm like, okay, I don't have to buy it, so yeah! So does Mega Man transition well into the world of soccer? Capcom tried to make it the best they could. So in all honesty, I don't really know the rules of soccer that well other than, hey, you gotta kick the ball into the goal. But I remember playing this at first and I was like, yeah, the characters move kinda slow, and who's Inker? Because in 1994, I still haven't played the Game Boy Mega Man games until I played them on an emulator, then I purchased them for the 3DS, but yeah, I didn't know who Inker was, so it was kinda cool to see who Inker was. So I remember the first couple of months my cousin let me borrow this game. I wasn't really that good at it. I mean, every time I tried to shoot a goal, it would always get blocked. And then I would try the Robot Master weapons. Some of them would go through, but then some of them wouldn't. So I didn't really know the weaknesses of the goalies this time and not the Robot Masters. Well, they're still the Robot Masters, but they're acting as goalies. Until I discovered this one trick that will always help you make the goal. If you kind of shoot at this corner line at the bottom of the goal, you'll always make it in, no matter what. Although if you're playing a two-player game and your opponent knows the trick, he can block it every time, so you gotta rely on the Robot Master weapons are just pure luck. Actually, what was really cool about this game is you can make like a dream team of Robot Masters for your team. Like you can choose any robot from Mega Man 1 through 5, I think, and put them on your team. It was really cool. I can't remember soccer positions from the top of my head as of this moment, but I remember the goalie was always Woodman. I would always have Elecman and Iceman kind of in the front, and then I would have Airman in the back. And also, if you unlock them, Dr. Wily is the best goalie in the game. And yes, the password system. Writing down passwords for the original series Mega Man games was pretty easy for the most part. But look at these passwords. Holy crap. Like, they didn't even have the numbers or the letters to display, so you kind of had to, you know, I had graph paper from math class, which I would put the passwords in. And so the major thing about this game that everybody complained about, there was no ending. Like, I've tried beating all the modes, you know, Exhibition, Capcom Championship, Tournament, League. And then once you beat Dr. Wily at the end, you go back to the title screen. Like, dude, they had an intro in this game. Like, where was the ending? And I remember calling my cousin saying, hey, I beat the game, but there's no ending. And he's like, you have to beat it undefeated, only with Mega Man, and you have to not let the opponent score any points. I was like, shit. So I actually did that, and I still didn't get the ending. And my cousin was like, sorry, dude, I bullshitted you, but I made you beat the game like totally legit like that. So yeah, Mega Man Soccer was a strange experiment by Capcom. Did it go over really well? I like to think it kind of did, but they actually could have made improvements to it if they made a sequel or made a PlayStation version or on any of the next-gen systems after that. Because honestly, I do think this game was a bit rushed. I think it started off as a fun experiment for Capcom, but they were like, oh, we gotta get this game out like now, so we gotta cut the ending, we gotta make the characters go all slow, we can't really polish the game in time because, you know, our shareholders want us to get the game out to kids, and it sold well. I remember it sold really well. But apparently not well enough to warrant a sequel or maybe another sports spin-off like Mega Man Football like I wanted, or Mega Man Baseball, or Mega Man Golf. Yeah, Mega Man Golf would have been really cool. Now, unfortunately, this game is not available as of now on the virtual consoles, but you can get this game on eBay. It's not that expensive, but it's kind of getting up there, so make sure you don't pay too much for it. Take care. Hey everybody, Ryan here, and thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, especially subscribe, and make sure to click on that notification bell so you know when we release new videos, because YouTube probably won't tell you. And if you want to watch me play games live, you can watch me on twitch.tv/BattleGeekPlus. And if you have a Twitch Prime account, you can subscribe for emotes and a lot more awesome perks to support the show. And if you want to support the show, you can donate at patreon.com/Ryan Molina, because every dollar helps me bring you a better show. And make sure to follow me on Twitter at @RyanMolina and at BattleGeekPlus. And also make sure to check out the official Battle Geek Plus website at BattleGeekPlus.com. We got books, we got t-shirts. Make sure to check out our awesome popcorn-related t-shirts, our Battle Geek Plus t-shirts, and a lot more. And last but not least, make sure to check out these other videos while you're here. Thank you very much, and see you later.